Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Will Schenk from More Online Revenue, and today we're going to be talking about why are you still running your business? More specifically, why isn't your team running your business? So just to jump into things a little bit, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Will Schenk, and I've been managing a successful print-on-demand business since early 2014. And along the way, I've really made every possible mistake with growing, managing, and having my outsourced team take over the day-to-day operations of my company. And through that intense degree of failure, I've really learned how to optimize a team so well that we took our former team of 12 and kind of boiled it down to just three other employees plus myself. And we do everything that a team of 12 used to do. And the best part about all of that is I don't operate the business. I grow the business. So my team really goes out and does most of the legwork day to day. They really do about 90% of all of my operations. So diving into this topic, I really want to tell you what this video is not going to be about and really get the bullshit out of the way up front. I'm not going to be teaching you how to work 10 hours a week or less. I really don't believe in that. Any hype guys out there that, say, yeah, I work 4 hours a week, I work 10 hours a week, even if I work 15 hours a week, I personally don't buy it. I don't think that's a great way to grow a company. Maybe you can maintain for a little bit doing that, but it's not a way to build something that's going to grow year after year. Next, I'm not going to advise you to underpay people. This isn't a video on how to find the absolute cheapest labor in a third world country and then to exploit them. I pay my team very well. They get bonuses on top of their base pay, and they get raises. They get regular raises tied to performance. So I'm not going to go and teach you to exploit people. I really, really do not believe in the practice. Last, I'm not going to go and teach you a system that is so effortless it can be perfected in a day. This is real world business. This isn't, a get rich quick scheme or me teaching you a bunch of hype. Or I'm sorry, not teaching you a bunch of hype, saying a bunch of hype and teaching you nothing, essentially. Everything I'm going to go over is going to take time, but this is the blueprint to take your team to the next level, to have them effectively run your company and do all the day-to-day stuff so it can free you up to grow the rest of the business. So let's really define what the true issue is. The true issue is you and your time. It is not that you don't have somebody else out there, running things because you're too good for that. The issue is you're a CEO. You need to have time to adapt to the newest trends in the e-commerce market. You need to have time to go out and network and find out what those trends are. You need to have time to sit down and really map out where your business is going every quarter, every month, every year, and what big objectives do you need to go and accomplish, and what resources do you need to address all that with. So if you're spending 20 hours a week or more tweaking ads, products, doing product research, if your to-do list is 3 pages long or more, and most importantly, if the big changes that will take your company to the next level are getting postponed because you need to make money today, so you can't worry about the stuff that's going to be, taking to the next level next week, next month, next quarter, next year, because you need to make money today, then really, time is your absolute biggest issue. And the only way to get around that is you need to get a team doing your day-to-day operations so you have time to do the big high-level stuff. So let's address what your team should be doing. At very least, they should be out researching new products. They should be getting those products onto your storefronts. They should be updating any existing product lines where your pricing, your description, your images, the product itself might be a little out of date. They should be creating your Facebook traffic. That shocks a lot of marketers. Yes, my team 100% creates all of my Facebook traffic and all the ads I use. They should also be assisting you in scaling your winning products. Yes, my team does go and make new ad sets. They do go and make new ad creatives when a product's going well. They do go and make one-off products of that winning product or different variations of it. Next, they should be handling customer service. And the last two are ones that a lot of people really don't believe me on, but I assure you this is what's going to take your company to the next level. My team provides feedback on how things can be done more efficiently. After we go and we implement a new practice, a month later, we'll revisit it and they'll tell me, okay, well, we're wasting a few hours doing this. It's really redundant, or it could be done more efficiently, or maybe it's just not that important to do it all. And lastly, they do a lot of my troubleshooting. So every internet marketer spends a good amount of their day putting out fires. Facebook went and had a new release and now there's bugs. Shopify has some bugs. I have some bugs on my storefront, this, that, or the other thing. Really, your team should be able to go and iron out 90% of all of those bugs without you. It's not that complicated, and if you teach them to think on their own and teach them how you analyze problems, they're not going to have any issues doing that kind of stuff. So really, if your team can go and handle all that, you have time to focus on yourself. And at the end of the day, you're a CEO, and you really need to start acting like a CEO if you're not acting like a CEO in all facets. So let's kind of talk about what a CEO should be doing in their organization. First, plain and simple, nothing else. Focus on one thing. It's the CEO's job to grow the business, period. It's your job to grow the business. It's everyone else's job to operate the business. But the CEO, their sole function should be, how do we grow this business? How do we bring in more revenue? How do we go and reward our employees with better compensation? How do we go and diversify our product listings? How do we bring in more customers? How do we give our customer a better experience? To do all that, you really need to be a visionary. And I'm not saying you have to go and reinvent the wheel. You have to be Tim Cook or Steve Jobs or any tech company, looking for the next trend. But you have to go and see a need and say, look, we're going to go after that need, and this is how we're going to do it. And then you need to convey that message to everybody in your company. You need to be the storyteller to that message. And you not only need to tell the story, but you need to tell it so many times and with such conviction that you become the inspiration provider, right? So after all that's done, and you have a small team, right under you, and they believe in you, next you're going to help organize that company. And you're going to say, okay, you and you and you, you're going to do task A, you and you, you're going to do task B. You're going to talk to each other throughout the process, and I'm just going to oversee and make sure that everyone's doing good. So by being the company organizer, it really means that you're going to be the head systemizer. And the head systemizer, the difference between an organizer and a systemizer is the organizer is putting things in a group. It's organizing the people. The systems are your processes. Every good business it's just a collection of really refined processes. And if somebody isn't going and fulfilling their processes, they can get swapped out. So your company isn't relying on one or two of its employees. And if they lose those employees, everything falls apart. If you have your systems really refined, really documented, your company will thrive regardless of who shuffles in and out of it over the years. Next, you're going to be a team builder. So not only do you organize where the people are in the company, but you have to make sure that they play well and they work well together. And that really is the essence of what team building is. And lastly, you're going to be a networker. So we're in a fast-paced industry. We're all in e-commerce. We're all in internet marketing. And even though it's an online business, really you learn everything through events. You learn everything through one-on-one conversations of what the next biggest trends are, where the industry's going, what customers are reacting to. And you have to be out there in touch with other marketers constantly to keep your business at the forefront. So if your team isn't running the company, what's going on? So I've coached on this topic quite a bit for at least, I would probably say, the last 12 months or so. And I kind of hear the same 3, 4, 5 excuses about why CEOs choose to do the mundane day-to-day operation tasks and not free themselves up to focus on the bigger issues. The very first issue, or the very first excuse, the most common one I hear all the time is, you know what, my team can do the work, but I just do it better. At the end of the day, I'm sure the CEO of McDonald's can make a really nice hamburger, but he doesn't need to. He needs to focus on how to open up more franchises and how to sell more product over the course of the year. Just because you do it better doesn't mean you should be doing it. Really, with you doing it better and not focusing on training your team to do it better than you, you're actually not doing your job. You're doing their job. So you need to take a moment, pad the brakes, and sit there and think about, am I doing my job or am I doing my team's work? Because if I could pay somebody to do this for a fraction of what I make an hour, is that really a good return on investment choice? Next, the next excuse I hear is, I've had VAs in the past, but it didn't work out. They left, they flaked, they this or that. So it's kind of like saying, you know what, I put a product online and I tried to sell it and it didn't sell the first day or the first week. And so it just doesn't work at all. Look, just because it didn't work in the past doesn't mean it doesn't work. You need to fail forward, plain and simple. Next, no one's team really does that much. I love hearing this one. The naysayers, the non-believers that say, oh, you know what, you're just being a hype man right now. Well, your team really doesn't do 90% of the work. You're still there doing a lot of the this or that. You're just not talking about it. That's absolutely not true. My team does 90% of our day-to-day operations, point blank, period. And it's not just me. I didn't go and invent this. I would say the majority of really strong internet marketers, of really strong CEOs in our industry aren't doing this stuff. They're going and creating systems and building teams and building true legit companies that are running their business, and they're focusing on taking the business to the next level, and they're getting there. So really don't go in and bog yourself down with negativity. It really does work if you do it right. Lastly, and I hate hearing this one, I hear it all the time, the whole fear factor, the what if my team steals from me? What if I train them so well that they decide to go out there and start their own company? You know what? That's a fair concern. I understand it. It's logical. But most people aren't born to be entrepreneurs. They don't wake up and decide to get kicked in the balls every single day and push through the pain to make something work. Even if they did go out on their own, chances are it wouldn't work out that well because they're not you. They don't have the ability to take failure and push past it like you do. Secondly, and sincerely, I believe that 99% of people are more honest. And we just live in a society in a day and age where, you have to keep your guards up or you feel like you have to keep your guards up. But they don't want to go and learn your business and steal from you and go off on your own or try to sell on the side. What they want to do is have a good, fair-paying job with honest and realistic expectations, and they want to be recognized when they meet those expectations. That's what your employees want. So you got to get over that fear. So those are the 4 excuses that most people really tell themselves why they're still doing the day-to-day stuff. Here are the real reasons that your team isn't running your company, and there's 5. It's really simple, and it's a really simple system I'm going to teach you to implement. So chances are, if you're missing one or more of the following, you're still doing a lot of your day-to-day stuff. First, you don't have a manager. A manager is absolutely crucial. This is your number 2. This is the person who's going to be your mini-me, who's overseeing all the pieces and making sure they're falling into place day in and day out. Next, you don't have well-defined systems. So yeah, maybe you go and you hire a bunch of staff, but then you just feel like you're constantly chasing after them and making sure they're doing the work, and then when they run out of work, figuring out new work, or even just making up things that aren't absolutely necessary to get done for them to do so they get their hours for the week. Honestly, I used to do this. It was a horrible wheel to be stuck on. It was just a never-ending circle of, why am I hiring this staff and then chasing around them all day or all week long? I'm not really saving any time, and now I'm paying somebody to do something where if I just didn't spend all this time managing them, I could do everything they're doing and just save what I'm paying out. The problem there is your systems aren't defined enough that your employees can come in, check up with you every week, and then go on autopilot. So we really need to go and focus on your systems and making sure they're documented and easy to access. Next, you're not teaching people to think, you're teaching people to do. So a lot of people, a lot of newer CEOs especially, think that they're going to go and hire, a bunch of $2 an hour virtual assistants, and all of a sudden they're going to be able to go and just work 4 or 5 hours a week, check in, and that'll be it. But the problem is things change. Bugs pop up, Facebook bugs, product bugs, customers' preferences change. Things are always shifting. So that never works. And the problem is they're laying out what to do, but they're not teaching their people how to do it or the rationale behind what they're doing. And if you actually slow down, take a little more time, and teach people why you do what you're doing, the rationale behind it, and how you think through problems, they'll be able to do that and think on their own. And they're going to be able to think like you would think most of the time. And that's going to free you up a lot because they're going to start doing troubleshooting for you. They're going to start going and saying, you know what, this is really inefficient. We can go and make this better. We can make this cleaner. We can make this take less time. Or, hey, Facebook threw a bug in our face, but I found the workaround and this is how I did it because you taught me this is your process for working through these kind of ads. Second to last, your employees aren't fanatics. So this one really ties into the fear that people will leave once you train them. Really happy employees don't leave. It's that simple. So what you need to do to create a really happy employee is you need to create a really great work culture. And you need to compensate them fairly. You need to lay out really solid expectations, and then you need to follow up on that. And you need to turn their work experience into a real job, not just, hey, I message you a to-do list every week and we only talk person to person once a month on Skype. That can't be the way, or else it's not really a job. It's just a to-do list that pays them once a week. That's it. And lastly, the real reason that your team isn't running a company is, this is the real true reason. Number 5 is like the boiled down version of everything. It's just you're scared you're going to lose your time. Is you don't want to go and even try again to get this team to work and do everything because you're going to put a bunch of time into it, and then after a month, after 2 months, after a week, it's not going to work, and then you're just going to have wasted your time. Honestly, training and developing a team, it's an ongoing investment. If you think it's a one-time thing, you're wrong, and that's probably why it failed in the first place. So let's talk about the 5 things we need to do to get our company to run itself. So going back to the previous slide, we're just reverse engineering 1 through 5. So it's all going to start with our manager. The manager, I would say, is probably the most important cog in all of this. Your manager is going to be your number 2. They're your the mini me. And really, you never train a manager. You train your VAs, you train your designers. Your manager, you groom. And there's a very distinct difference between training and grooming. Training is you're teaching somebody how to do something. When you groom a person, you're not teaching them just how to do a thing, but you're teaching them how to think about an issue, how to resolve past conflicts when they arise. So really, you need to sink a lot of time into your manager. You should be on the phone with them every single week, at least once or twice. You should be saying, hey, what issues have come up? How do you think we should resolve them? And then let me give you my feedback on your answers. And then additionally, you say, okay, the company is having this issue. What do you think? And they should be there with you making big decisions. I'm not saying that they're going to make the final call. That's what you, the CEO, does. But they should have input. Additionally, they should know how to do every single job in the company. So what I personally like to do, and here's a little golden nugget that isn't in the write-up, is I don't hire managers ever, period. Our company is 100% against it. What we do is we hire virtual assistants. And over time, I look out and I see the assistants that really treat this company like it's their own. And then I slowly start feeding them more responsibilities. I start getting them on one-on-one training calls a little bit more, paying a little closer attention. And then eventually I'm comfortable enough to promote from within. Managers, in my opinion, should always be promoted from within. The only exception to that is if they have some talent that they're bringing to the organization that you do not possess. But if you know how to do everything, then you should be promoting from within. It's more cost effective. You're going to get an employee who understands how you think. They're going to understand the company culture, and it's going to vibe really well. It's going to be a seamless transition. So before they get to that manager position, my managers do every single job in this company, including creating products. Next, a manager, once they reach that status level, that employment level, once they get the manager title, they should be able to provide input back to you. So they should have insight, they should have advice on how to improve things. They should tell you where there's time sucks in the company. They should tell you, hey, we keep going after this niche and it just doesn't seem to be working. I think we need to move on. They should be able to say, hey, our products, maybe they're not as good as they should be. Maybe they should, be different colors, shapes, this is or that. They need to play to different customer tastes. They should be well versed. I'm not going to say they should be an expert. You're the expert, but they should have a really good idea of what's going on. Next, well-defined systems. So what happens if you hire this great manager, this great number two, and they leave? All of a sudden your company goes to a standstill, right? Because the person who knows how to do everything is gone. And now you're extremely vulnerable. So what we really need to address here is we need to create well-defined systems. So everything, every task needs to be well documented. And it also needs to be accessible. So what I do is every single task in the company that I would like somebody else to do, I first go and shoot a how-to video. So I say, hey guys, here's me. Today we're working on X, Y, and Z, and we're just, you're going to watch me do it. And then after that, really, this is crucial. You have to write a short checklist. So it's going to feel redundant, right? It's going to feel like, well, I just shot the video. Why can't I just shoot my video and give it to my team and be done with it? Because that process is not refined out at all if you're just shooting a video on the fly and passing it off. So what I do is rewatch your video and make a step-by-step checklist of first you do this, then you do this, then you do this, third, fourth, fifth, here are all the things you do next. Here's what to look out for, because what you're going to find is when you shoot the video, you forget certain finer points and you forget to talk about every little thing. So that's what you're going to go and put in your checklist. Next, you're going to find redundancies. You're going to say, you know what, I never really thought about this as I'm going through all these steps, but maybe I don't need this step. So once you have a video and a checklist, that can now be passed off to your team. And if you want to go one step above and beyond all of that, I do a live training, at very least with my manager. So my manager knows how to train my virtual assistants. So, admittedly, this is going to be a little bit time intensive on the front end, but really this is where things start to go on autopilot for you, and it's absolutely crucial. So next, factor number 3 to getting your team to run your company is you need to teach people to think. Point blank, 99% of people are not going to steal from you or run off and start their own business once they learn how to push through a lot of the issues that your company faces. But you really need to teach not just your managers, but all employees how to think. Personally, in my company, every single week we get a team call and I address one high-level issue, and then as a group we discuss how we're going to go and address that issue. At the end, I make the final decision, but the entire team discusses it. The managers tend to have, or my manager tends to have a little more input. The VAs definitely chime in, my designer chimes in, but really it's a company-wide effort and we address it as a team. And what happens by doing this is when new issues pop up down the road, my team is already thinking about how to resolve it, how to address it, before I even know that it's an issue. And the only way to get to that point is to really invest in teaching your team how to think. So the last 2 is you need to make fanatical employees. So this really ties into trust. So how do you know that your employees aren't going to leave, right? And really, the way to get your employees to love your company is you need to focus on your company culture and the employee experience. So are your employees just mindless drones that you shoot a to-do list once a week and maybe you talk to them during the hiring process and every other month? Or are you vested in their personal lives? When you start up a call, do you ask them, hey, how's your husband doing? How's your baby doing? How was your weekend for 5 minutes? Do you know what some of their personal preferences are? Do you know what the favorite tasks in the company are? Maybe they like designing and doing graphic design. However, you keep giving them Facebook ads. And if you know that they really like graphic design, you would give them a little more design work and give the Facebook ads to another staff member. The only way to really create fanatical employees is to take the time to get to know them and take the time to explain what they mean to the company. And additionally, really focus on what their employee experience is. Like, do you like working here? What could be better? What could make you enjoy showing up and logging into work every day? And additionally, this goes without saying, you also have to make sure that you're paying them fairly, that you're giving them fair expectations every week, and that you're checking up on that. That just goes without saying. I'm not really going to dive into that. If you're not paying your team fairly, or if you're giving them unrealistic expectations that they can no way meet, eventually they're just going to leave because you created a horrible system for them. So here's the real litmus test. Here's a golden nugget I'm going to give you is how do you know if your employees are fanatical or not? And I like to call this the 5-year test. As every blue moon, I'll sit down and I'll ask my employees, hey, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or I'll rephrase it, where do you see yourself for your career in 2 years? Or where do you see yourself in 3 years? And there's really one right answer to this question. I see myself in this company with more responsibility. If they're giving you any other answer or any other variation that isn't still with your company but would like to do more, then they're not fanatical about your company. And that isn't their fault. That's going to be falling on you as the CEO. So you really need to step back, focus on your company culture, focus on your employee experience, and make sure that they're so addicted and in love to your company that they're showing up to work. And even though they're only an assistant, they're treating it like they're the CEO every day. Lastly, and this is really the core of all the issues, is time. So why aren't all these things falling into place? And I'll bet it's because you're a little too scared to invest the time. I'm going to be honest with you. This whole process, it's going to be a time investment on the front end. It really is. You can't go and just put in a day's worth of work and expect your company to run on autopilot. It's not going to happen. It's going to be hours and hours every single week, week in and week out. And then once you get your systems in place, once your employees are fanatical about the company, once you have a manager who's there and believing in things, it's all going to start to run on autopilot. It's going to free you up. And now you can go and take your company to the next level by focusing on growth opportunities. It's by far the highest returning investment you can make. It really is. I don't know a CEO in the world that focuses around hiring bad people and providing them with as little training as possible. It's just absolutely counterintuitive, but that mindset is absolutely rampant in this industry. And I really like to go and flip that expectation upside down. And I would like to see more CEOs saying, you know what, I'm going to invest more in my people and I'm going to invest more time with them, and then our company will grow fundamentally. So the final thought that I would like to convey to you, that I would like to give you, the last thing to think about when you're leaving is please, when you wake up tomorrow morning, decide that you want to be a CEO, decide that you want to focus on growing a legitimate company, and that all starts with grooming your team to run it. Because once they're running your company, you're going to have a lot more time to truly focus on your growth opportunities. So that's it, guys. Again, I'm Will Schenk, and I am with More Online Revenue. If you'd like more content like this, more training videos, training articles, and really in-depth conversations, please like our fan page. It's More Online Revenue, facebook.com/More Online Revenue, and we would love to have you connect with us. Thanks so much, and have a great day.